Yo, yo, yo. Yo, man. Welcome to FKU Africa Podcast. This is your host here, Maneza F8, coming to you live here in Cape Town, in the mother city, man, in South Africa. Of course, that's where I'm at right now. I hope wherever you are having a wonderful day. I hope you are still surviving all these kind of situations that are happening around the world, man. We're talking the wars that are happening throughout the Middle East. We're not forgetting that there is wars that are still happening throughout Syria, Yemen, throughout Africa, Congo, uh, Nigeria, the stuff that are happening there, Mozambique. There's still stuff that are happening there also. We're not forgetting also the war between Israel and Palestine that is happening. We're not going to focus more on stuff that are not involving the bettering of Africans wherever they are. Those wars that I'm talking about right now affects Africa in a way that if the war is happening in Syria or Yemen, that kind of a war affects us in Africa because all those refugees that are running away from countries like Yemen, from countries like Syria, Palestine, Afghanistan, all those people, they are flooding here into Africa. Now we are in a situation where we are hosting Africans who are being forced to leave their countries because of other circumstances that they are facing in the countries that they belong to. Now we are in trouble where we are facing also the influx of people from the Middle East, people from Bangladesh, Yemen, Syria, also even in Somalia. We have those kind of situations that we need to address here in Africa. Before we talk about uniting Africa, we need to talk about what is the goal? What are we uniting for? What are we uniting for as Africans? If we can answer that, then we can go to how we go about it. Because whenever there's some kind of a unity or a union, there should be a goal. If you're talking about unity to combat violence against women and children, that's the goal. That's the goal of that unit. If you're talking about unions, the unions at work, that unity is there for the goal of making sure that workers are being paid properly, are working on the good conditions, are also being treated fairly by the employers. So that's the goal. The goals of the Jews, wherever they go to, is to unite for the goal of enriching each other. It's either supporting each other's businesses, opening distributions where they distribute goods among each other. That's what they do. Even Chinese, they have those certain goals. Wherever they go, they build a Chinatown that caters for Chinese only, and Chinese will go and buy there. They will buy clothes, food. There's restaurants. They will fix cars. There will be car accessories. Everything. They will be there because of what they have that goal. They're united behind the goal. What is the goal of Africans actually? We need now, when we discuss African unity, not just to talk about things that are coming out of our mouth just for the sake of talking. We need to talk about strategic. We need to talk about planning. We need to talk about execution. We need to know what is the goal that we are rallying behind. Because if we don't have that goal, the unity will be just the talk as it is, as it was, since the times of Thomas Sankara, since the times of Julius Nyerere. There was a plan for the unit, and they even formed an organization that was supposed to be catered for that unity of Africans to come to unite Africa at large, and also unite African diaspora. Those organizations, they were there behind the goal of uniting Africa, but that goal is too broad. Uniting into doing what? What are we uniting for? Because if now you're saying that Africans should unite and talk the same language and do the same traditions and same culture and stuff, that's not going to work, because we are different people from different backgrounds, from different tribes, different clans. That's not going to happen. We need to figure out something that is tangible. What are the tangibles that you can be uniting against? What is something that is realistic? Uniting to trade among each other, uniting to make sure that we break down the borders, we're uniting to make sure that Africa is using the same currency and we trade among each other as Africans. Those are the kinds of the goals that we need to unite for. Not just uniting for the sake of being one. We're already one. We're all blacks. Yeah, if you can look into even Europeans, they are not united, but they are united for one cause: to share the wealth, to trade among each other, to create resources where they can enable each other to prosper together as Europeans. If you remember where the times where the Brexit was happening, it was the times where the Britain was exiting the European Union. I don't know if it's European Union. Just forgot now the name of the, the, the the units that they have there in Europe. That is more of African Union, something like that. So what they did there, they wanted to exit that because they already have enough wealth on their own as Britain. So they felt like now, because there are a lot of countries, small countries that are amongst Europe, and they don't have nothing to offer in terms of the bigger picture of the European unit or European, I don't know what is European word. So in terms of that organization of the Europeans, those small countries like Andorra, Luxembourg, Macedonia, those countries are very small. They have nothing to offer. They have no resources. They have no money. Those are the poorest countries in Europe. So if Britain is there and they are sharing wealth among all these countries that are there, Britain is now starting to bleed in terms of resources, because they don't even have resources on their own. Britain, all the wealth that is there was taken out of Africa. That must be known. The wealth that is there in Britain was taken out of Africa. So now, if Britain is going to share that wealth with those small countries like Andorra, Luxembourg, Macedonia, as I've mentioned, that thing is now making them to lose a lot of weight in terms of currency, in terms of resources, in terms of infrastructure, because they cannot build uh, or take from anything else other than what they already have that is actually coming out of Africa. So they decided to leave there so that they can conceive or save whatever that is left that they have that is coming out of Africa, because they cannot take out of Africa anymore. Africa is now getting clever. They are now starting to charge them more for the oil that they are taking out of Africa. They are now starting to make sure that the resources that they were taken out of Africa, we want them back. So if they are giving us back all our gold that is there in London, they are going now to face a problem where they have nothing left. So that nothing left that they have being shared among other small countries that they are not benefiting them anything. This is the reason why they left. So this is the reason for us now as Africans to start uniting so that we can uh, put together the amount of resources that we have. If we put together, this is strange. This is very strange because if you know or you notice that Africa does not need anything from any other continent, from any other country. Africa alone can survive a lifetime without needing anything from Europe, anything from America, anything from China or whatever. All those that I've mentioned now, they need Africa to survive. All those that I've mentioned, they need, not that they want to mingle with us, they need Africa to survive. If I'm talking your China, if I'm talking your Europe, if I'm talking your America, all those countries, they need Africa to survive, to sustain their living. The amount of oil that is being taken out of Africa to those countries, it's unspoken of. No one is speaking of that. The amount of tar that is taken out of Congo, the amount of I forgot the name of this carbon that they take there to create the chips for the phones. There will be no phone in the world if Congo was not in disarray as it is now. It was maintaining order there. If that stupid president there was not as stupid as it is, uh, Congo was going to be the superpower of the world because there will be no phone without Congo. There will be no phones without Congo. There will be nothing without Africa. Minerals, gold, everything is here. South Africa, from here to Nigeria to Cairo, there's all kinds of minerals. To even just give you a glimpse of what I'm talking about. Before they killed Muammar Gaddafi, Libya was one of the richest countries in Africa. Libya was not borrowing anything from those countries. Libya was sanctioned for over 10 years or 20 years by the times of uh, uh, John Kennedy. They were already sanctioned. They already tried to kill Muammar Gaddafi in the 80s, 1986. They already tried to kill him once. After that, they sanctioned him. He prospered without them because they don't need anything there. Libya was providing free electricity. Libya was providing free housing. Libya was providing free education to its people in the times of Muammar Gaddafi without the influence of the West. They didn't need anyone to do that, to show you that Africa can survive on its own. By the times of Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso, for the 4 years that he ruled there, he didn't need anyone. First of all, in the first year, he took power and make sure that France is living there because that was the country that was under France at that time. The name of it was Upper Volt. It was colonized by France, but France was still there. Their military was still there. When Thomas Sankara took power, he forced France out of Burkina Faso. He then made sure that Burkina Faso becomes one of the wealthiest country in terms of resources, open trade with the fellow countries that are next to it, making sure that women are getting in power, planting trees, and all these kind of things, making sure that the wages which means the payment of these guys who were in power next to him were reduced to half for everyone. he was taking, because at that time, this thing of a president was taken too serious because Africans had nothing before. So they wanted that higher power driving the most expensive cars. So it said, we are all going to drive regular cars like Toyotas. These are regular cars. We're going to drive, not going to drive with SUVs and what. Back then, it was in the 80s. They're going to drive regular cars. Sometimes you would take bicycle to work, to the office. So people that who had a vision, they sanctioned him. He didn't need anyone. By the time that his friend, his right-hand man, killed him with the influence of the West, at that time, Burkina Faso was flourishing. Now, when they killed people like Muammar Gaddafi, NATO is there. They are taking the petrol and oil out of Libya. France went back to Burkina Faso. They took all the resources still there. Those countries now are in disarray. They are the most poorest countries. People are selling each other with the highest bidder. So it's sad as like that. Slavery is happening now as we speak in those countries. They are taking people out there by ships. They are taking people out there by private planes to go and sell them wherever needs slaves. Those things are still happening as we speak now in those countries. This is not a lie. So if we are going to talk about uniting as Africans, we need to make sure that we unite for a certain goal. We can't just say we are uniting. We are uniting for what? What are we uniting for? What is the goal? We need to have a certain goal that we're uniting for, and that goal must be visible. Because if we're talking about Africa being united, we need to talk about the certain goal, as I said before. What is the goal? What are we uniting for? What are we uniting against? Because now it seems like this term of Africa must unite is just being thrown all around without a really explanation. Because now if you say we're going to unite without a goal, that's just us playing with words, which is what we've been doing all these years. And it's quite troubling for us as Africans to rally behind it. And also, it's not fair for many Africans who want to unite to be united without a certain goal. What are we uniting against? What are we uniting for? What is the actual plan? Are we uniting to just be united? Are we going to have the one surname? Are we going to have one traditions? Are we going to have one culture? Are we going to speak one language? What is the goal? What are we uniting for? What are we uniting against? We need to have a clear vision, a clear goal, and a clear execution of this goal for us to unite. We can't just say we unite and become one. One for what? One doing what? We become one and then what? We need to be realistic on our goals. We need to be realistic on what we are doing. We can't be wasting time now and just be talking. Come up with a goal. Let's attain those goals and unite against them and rally against that. That's how we unite. So before we end this topic, let's talk about the coming podcast that is going to be most amazing podcast that is coming. So we're going to release the first episode of Sphola namaZotsho podcast that is including me and my brother Mels the God. The first episode we recorded already. We have Retex in talking to us about his influence in hip hop, in what is called Ispas, how he started, and we just have fun. That's not an interview; it's just a chat. We had a chat with him, and There's no structure. We just chillaxing. Sphola namaZotsho. It's coming. We recorded it in Khayelitsha, in his hometown. So it's coming. We are planning to make sure that the episode is coming next week, which is the first week of October, as we said. But we are still making sure that we have good logistics behind it, make sure that everything is in the admin side is done properly, everything is ready. So yeah, man, this is your FKU Africa podcast. Please check out this podcast, man. It's already live. I'm doing it live now on YouTube. It's there. Go and watch. I'm also live on Facebook. So if you are now watching on Facebook, the podcast is live also on YouTube. So that's almost the end of it now. I've mentioned that uniting as Africans, it's priceless, and it's something that we cannot take for granted. But for it to be prosperous and happen, we need to have certain goals that we're uniting against. We can't be just saying that we want to unite, but we don't have really tangible goals that we're uniting against. It's something that we can all share as Africans. So yeah, man. And also announce the podcast that is coming. Check that out. Fikira Undani Nduku. Tamaku. We're out.